Hi friends, welcome back to Building in a Small Town. My guests today are Joan and Grant Fairchild of Gravy Home Goods in Jewell, Iowa. Gravy Home Goods is a brick and mortar shop on Main Street in Jewell. It's full of vintage, new, repurposed, upcycled, fun, eclectic home items ranging from custom-built barnwood tables to sassy textiles and everything in between. In this episode, you'll learn how Joan got her start with her Old Lady Stucco pop-ups, how a conversation over a cup of coffee turned into buying a Main Street building, as it happens sometimes, and how they've been able to collaborate around the region to grow their business. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I know you will too. But before we get into the episode, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for listening and ask you to make sure that you're subscribed on whatever your listening platform. While you're at it, if you could also drop a quick rating and review, that's a simple, free way to support the show, and it helps others find the show. Thank you again, and let's get into it. Welcome to Building in a Small Town, where we're talking to entrepreneurs, community leaders, policymakers, and more to find out how they're building things in small towns. I'm your host, Shelby Smith. All right, hello, and welcome back to the Building in a Small Town podcast. Today I have a couple out-of-towners. They made a little trip down to see me here in Collins. So I have Joan and Grant of Gravy Home Goods out of Jewell, Iowa, and you guys are on Main Street in Jewell.
Correct, right
and
on.
We have more in common than I realized when I booked this.
Yeah?
I did not realize that you guys also live above your store.
That's the best. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah. So I had no idea. I was doing a little bit of research and I was like, oh, okay.
That's a big part of the reason how we got started too, is we wanted to be able to live above and have a business below. So that made the economics better.
Yeah, that's how we were able to afford it. Mm-hmm. There was, what would you call that, honey? The city had an ordinance where they were not allowing upper story living. And the reasoning I kind of won't get into, but it was a bit ridiculous. And it was based off of something that happened in another town.
They were afraid of a lot of low income is basically what they were, you know.
So it's kind of a not in my backyard.
Yes,
sort of
right,
exactly.
And so we owned a quite nice home in Jewell that we had raised our kids in. And when we decided to do this, we approached our Main Street group that was in charge of all this. And we pitched it that we will buy it. We will sell our home. I mean, we were in the game. We would sell our home if they would help us talk to the council and pass and change that ordinance. So the nice part about the Main Street is the Main Street group is a couple of those who are active on that Main Street group were also councilmen. So that did help us because they were able to explain it better to the council, the rest of the council, and that
they were able to liaise.
That's
yes,
right.
Exactly.
And it really, I mean, it was a huge jump. I mean, you sell your home, and
we kind of took the leap.
We bought this building, and it wasn't ready yet, and I had to go live at one place, and you stayed at your mother's, and we had our son with us, and so it was a challenging bit of time before the renovation was complete.
Yeah. And this was back in early
2013.
Okay, so this is about 11 years ago at this point.
Right, and there was so much deadline that wasn't. We were supposed to be in it much sooner than we were, particularly the apartment thing. But we were kind of waiting on this person or this person to finish
Typical construction
Yes.
delays. You know.
Well,
So it was
you're
just
telling me-
stressful, but it was worth it.
And you're telling me that nothing in old buildings ends up on anybody's timeline.
Or just getting that help who's doing that work. If
Yes.
they're not available, when you're trying to refinish beautiful old floors.
Yeah.
And it
You're
was
at
a
the
wreck.
mercy of when that person can get there to, restore your beautiful old floors.
And you did a lot of work.
They did. And I mean, it's worth it in the end. Hoy, would I do it again? Yes. Probably.
It's been good.
But I'm wiser.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so are you guys? So you were living in Jewell at the time. You raised your kids in Jewell. Are you both from Jewell?
No, I'm from Minnesota.
Okay, I can hear that. I can hear that a little bit.
And I'm from Minnesota, and I had lived in Jewell for quite a few years. And
And I was a country kid out by Pilot Mound, which is not that far
Not
away.
super far. Yeah. Okay, and so did you grow up on a farm then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just traditional.
Yeah, my dad still had the small tractors and the non-chemical farming and
Okay.
cows and pigs and all that stuff. So
Okay, so you had the whole gamut.
yeah,
of
right.
The country life.
Yeah.
And so then, did you go off to college?
And then I
after?
went to college and went to Iowa State. When I graduated, I worked in Houston for a while, and then Indianapolis, and then I was in Des Moines when we met.
What did you study?
English. I'm an English major. I actually got real jobs.
So you're an English major. Did you go like journalism?
Yeah, I had a journalism emphasis to it. So I worked at Meredith in Des Moines, the magazine company. And I still work in Des Moines. Technically, I work from home now since the pandemic. But
Yeah. Are you still with Meredith? Well, I guess Meredith got bought. That's complicated.
There's a lot of buying.
Division that
Yes.
got
My same
bought
job,
out.
my division in Meredith got bought lock, stock, and barrel by a company and moved us, we're a separate company now, but we're doing the same jobs we did.
And you've been there
Yeah.
a great many years.
Yes.
And
I
so,
mean, within this, yeah.
are you a writer? Like, do
I'm an
you?
editor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you start off as a writer?
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, yeah. I mean, I always liked magazines. That was my emphasis.
Shelter magazines, you were with.
Yeah,
some of
consumer
them.
shelter magazines, and then I did some book publishing in Indianapolis, and back to Des Moines for Country Home magazine, and Better Homes and all those are down there.
Right.
So
Which was your favorite?
Country Home was my favorite.
Why?
Yeah, just
It was us.
the aesthetic of the decorating and the home just fit mine. So it just felt good, and there were a lot of good people working there. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it was fun.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Joan, what about you? Did you grow up in the country in Minnesota? Like, what part of Minnesota are you from?
Oh, I'm near the South Dakota border.
Okay.
So kind of near Sioux Falls and Worthington, Minnesota area, a town of 300. Lismore, Minnesota is where I grew up. And I have a twin sister, and I'm the baby of 10.
Are you identical twins?
Oh, God, no. But as we get older, we do have more similarities.
Completely fraternal.
But always worked at Okoboji and that, and I met my first husband there. That's how I got to the Ames area, and from there, that's how I got to Jewell, bought a home in Jewell. We got divorced, and then I met Grant, and I had 2 children at the time, and we have a son together. So I did go to school for a bit at, at the time it was called Mankato State rather than Minnesota State.
At Mankato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've always done retail and sales and sold advertising, did a lot of that, and just was at the moment then a stay-at-home mom with our son when we decided I wouldn't mind getting back into sales, but I wanted to own my own business. So I think we were having coffee on a Sunday morning when this comes out of my mouth.
They're working on that building
I was
uptown.
kind of thinking.
We should maybe-
Is that a really expensive phrase in your house?
Not always.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I've gotten a few things that way, but
Joan has a boat fetish, so
yeah, Vintage boats.
Yeah.
So sometimes if I say, it usually means I have a plan and I've thought about it and now I'm going to share it with.
Right. It's ready to come out
Yes.
into the universe, if
I've
you will.
solved a problem.
Yes. Okay, so walk me through what that decision was like then in 2013 of, hey, I have an idea. We're at coffee. I got this. I got this plan. What was your first reaction, Grant? Like, were you like, yeah, let's do it?
Kind of. I was kind of all in. I mean, I knew that the building was getting rehabbed and we weren't really paying for that renovation. The local
Lucky duckies.
economic group was paying for most of it. And we got it at a good price, well under what they spent to renovate it. And I had a full-time job. So
There it is.
that's for a lot of small businesses in small towns. One of the spouse has a full-time job that they can.
They have insurance and they
haven't, right.
The security that comes with
Though-
it.
Yeah, and if you have a
sometimes-
rough patch, your spouse can kind of help smooth that over.
Sometimes people falsely don't take us seriously because they feel like we have this backup.
Yeah.
But when you sell your home and move your child in, and
Yeah,
you're in it. But you've always been such a good sport about trying things and letting me do that. So
my grandma
we
lived
like
above
adventure.
a store in Boone for years and years, and I always remember when I was a kid going to Boone up to her apartment above the store, and I just thought it was like
Yes.
I was living in New York City or something because you could just sit up there and watch traffic and people
And our grandkids now, it's fun to
Yeah.
see them. They think going to grandma's apartment, they look
exotic.
out the window and they can watch all the traffic go by, but then across the street's the library, and less than half a block is the grocery store, and we can walk to the farm store and get free popcorn. And they just think, I would love to know in their minds how big the town seems to them.
Right.
And then on the weekends when the shops are open and you can go get coffee at the coffee shop, and we get to go into all the shops and shop. I wonder if they just feel like that's
Yeah, like it's huge.
yeah.
I'm sure it
And it makes me feel really good. I just thinking of what Jewell's Main Street was when we started, and now the collaboration amongst all the business owners and what we've become is really it's exciting. It's hard to tell people who don't understand or haven't been there. It's like, no, you don't understand. This little town has it going on.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful not every building got filled with, no offense to anyone. Like the Main Street group was just excited to get a building done and someone in there. And so it's usually insurance agents, hairstylists, lawyers, which is fine, but it doesn't bring
the foot traffic.
a foot traffic consistent. I mean, you might have that gal that gets her hair done once a week, but they're not going anyplace else. And so as the buildings were getting done or available, if I would try to find a business I thought was exciting that was maybe based out of their home or out of their garage and try to recruit them. Like, have you ever wanted to have a building? Contact these people,
Yeah. So
And
when
so-
you guys first started this out, like were you the first building to get fixed? Like was everything vacant? Like what was it like?
Go ahead.
There were a couple buildings that had been renovated. The first one was the
Cabinet.
Classic Designs Cabinetry. They occupied the first one and bought the first one, and then there was another brick down the street from them, and they renovated that. That was a smaller building. And then I think we were the third that they really...
But they did fill most of them as they did it with hairdressers or insurance
it wasn't
agents and things like that. So when we opened, other than the quilt shop and our farm store, we were the only retail. But at that point, I still have them, really good friends in Story City that had Broad Street Market, and Brenda had JB Knacker and Gilbert. So to kind of drive my business, and we all hung around and got along great, we would collaborate and create events amongst the towns, amongst our three stores. And that really, with the help of those friends, that really did.
They helped drive people up to
drive
Jewell.
people up to Jewell. And then from there, as Jewell started to get more of vintage stores and stuff, now we have even more reason, to come to Jewell. So now Broad Street Market's no longer there, and Brenda from JB Knacker, they own another building in Jewell on Baden Street that their daughter had gin and tarnish. Their daughter's gotten married and has a child and expecting, so Brenda has kind of taken it over again. So now I have her again. But now there's enough of us where we can promote just Jewell. And it has really been, it's just hard to explain to people all the wonderful, between So Be It Quilt Shop and Gin and Tarnish and
we now
handcrafted
FCD.
FCD.
I know, Christina.
I stumble on that. Handcrafted FCD
Yeah,
and
she's
then
great.
DK.
Handmade.
DK.
And then, then me. And did I miss someone?
Juniper and Olive.
Well, that's the treat.
Yeah.
We got something different in. And if you ever do an interview, please bring her in and just get her story. Cindy from Juniper and Olive. And she is like a boutique.
It's a cocktail bar, bistro.
Yes.
Has a real big city feel
And
to
just
it.
the vibe and the energy. It is very kind of New York feeling. And she does have a bridal shop above. So that has brought in a whole nother customer, a reason to stay for a few hours in Jewell because, and she does bridal showers and everything. So somehow, and it's all the way we do collaborate, that has just been kind of the icing on the cake of filling in a niche. And then we do have a coffee shop, Texter Sisters Mercantile. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention
Farmer's
that.
Daughters Vintage just moved in.
We did just move in one from Story City, Father's Daughters Vintage. But, Texter Sisters, you can get coffee and stuff. So now you can just hang out in these 2 blocks and just have, you can spend a few hours.
And it's easier to convince your customer to come from Des Moines or Mason City or...
we do Fort Dodge, Des Moines, Mason City.
Grab
a
a girlfriend and come up to Jewell, and it's not just one shop you're going to. And
Right.
if there's nothing there, it's a wasted trip. Now
You're spending a whole day.
you can spend a whole
easily.
day, and we do try and help the other towns around, other shops that are close by, point people towards them too.
But we
just to keep people coming this way.
Yes, yep. But and it doesn't hurt. Highway 69 is out our front door.
Right.
Right now, a little bit of a struggle as we have all sorts of construction
Yes.
going on. But we've just been plugging through, and
It'll be over soon.
it'll be over soon, and it's going to look amazing.
Yeah, it'll be
But-
over before you know it.
And I have been kind of arranging buses. This Dahlia Darling out of Nevada, they
Yes.
have the coolest old bus, and I was like,
Which is how we originally got connected, because I went to elementary and middle school with Logan. So
Did you? Oh, gosh.
yeah,
And
so she was she was my
Okay.
episode number 7, and so that's where Dahlia,
and-
and so like with her Shipley Schoolhouse and all of that stuff, and so that's
Very cool.
I was the one who convinced her that she needed a page about Shipley Schoolhouse and
Yes.
sharing the whole thing, and
So-
she's just like, "You're right."
no, so really,
Yeah.
and I have not
She's got a
met
great
her
story.
yet.
Oh, you
Her
haven't?
husband drives the bus.
Yes.
And I mess up his name every time. So
Zach.
every time he's driving, I know. Now I know, but now I just say, tell Bob, thank you. But they are so fun, and they work with me. And because of the construction, I've done some buses where we pick up in Ames and bring them to Jewell for a couple hours. I call it the fun bus or Sunday fun day. Sometimes I call it the drunk bus because they might have some, but they safely get back to where they,
They're on a bus,
That's
so
right,
no
and we will
worries.
get them
Investigative
back
drive.
safely. And we've gone from Alluvial Brewing or Tip Top, and we plan trips like that. And then I also do thrifting buses where we start in Jewell. I take them to different thrifting spots close by, and then back to Jewell where they can have a little lunch or whatever. So
Yeah.
that has kind of really helped. And I will continue to do those. But during this main street stuff, it does help our weekends a lot, especially our Sundays.
Yeah. Okay, so you, back in 2013, you're at a coffee shop. You're like, hey, I have this idea.
We're not at a coffee shop. We're having
you're
coffee,
at
just
home.
hanging at
Yeah,
home.
sorry.
You
Yep, you don't
bet.
even have a coffee shop at this
heck
stage, so
no,
we don't
yeah.
have that luxury. Yes. Okay, so you're at home having coffee. Hey, I got this idea. You're like, they're working on this building. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Did you already know like what kind of business that you wanted to
yes,
open?
absolutely.
Okay, so talk to me about that a little bit. Like,
Okay.
where did you get into the home goods, the thrifting, the vintage?
I've always kind of done that, and then and he's so fun. I think that's why we had so many fun dates and that. You loved auctions and stuff. So we've always like decorated our whole home like that. At our home that we had in Jewell, it had like a small garage carriage house with like a little back room, which probably was a chicken coop at one time.
It was, yeah.
And so I don't know what year I did this, but just in the warm season, I would do I called it Old Lady Stucco, because it was a stucco house. And before we bought it, we used to dream of this house. We'd walk by and be like, oh, and this little old lady lived there. We didn't know her name. We do now. But we did know her name, so we always said Old Lady Stucco's house. So when we'd refer to if we could ever buy that, which we finally did. But I would have Old Lady Stucco, and I would fix up and
We do a pop-up sales.
I do pop-up, exactly.
Like 3 times a summer, 3
or 4 times a
4
summer, or yeah, if I could get one in the fall. But back then, I had an old truck named Aggie. You got to name your vehicles. And
Yeah, you
she
do.
was a workhorse. It used to be his dad's old work truck, and his dad gave it to me. So I was driving his dad's truck. And we used to do it when all the cities had the garbage pickup days, you know?
Yeah, just go.
And I had
Free
a friend.
inventory.
Yeah.
I had a friend in Des Moines who, I don't know how she managed it, but she would like send me a list of every town almost in Iowa. We'd go clear to Algona and Fort Dodge and all over, and almost everything that I sold in Old Lady Stucco came off the curb. I don't curb hop anymore. I'm just, not much. I do a little bit, you know, if it's sitting right there.
I was going to say, if it's right there for the taking, you kind of
Oh
have
my
to.
God. One time we had so much fun in Fort Dodge, I called Grant, and he drove he went to my friend's house, got another truck, and met us like halfway, and then took the full truck home. And
like at 1 a.m.
You gotta do what you got. I mean, free inventory is free inventory. You kind of
oh,
gotta
and
take it.
I was with girlfriends, and we were having so much fun. Oh my gosh. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, so that's how it started.
Okay, so with
And-
Old Lady Stucco, were you doing work on this stuff that you were finding?
A little
or you
bit,
just...
but it was more just little charming things.
Paint it, nail it back together.
Yeah, it was not a
Repairs.
lot of
Yeah.
work. And it was a small little shop pop-up,
Yeah.
you know. And then I quit doing it after a while.
Well, and how were you getting the word out about? Was it just like a total word
Way
of
back
mouth?
then,
thing?
you'd make a flyer and you'd pin it all over. And I think maybe once or twice in the local newspaper.
I don't even remember.
I believe I know I did that. And so funny because at the time, my friend Brenda from JB Knacker, they were doing a pop-up. They're kind of the ones who started it in the area.
So you worked for her for a little bit. So
Well, and so Brenda and I got to know each other through that because she'd come to Old Lady Stucco and buy stuff. But my first experience of doing a pop-up was I think I was at her very first one they did in the country on someone's farm. And it was so fun. And it was called, oh, she'll kill me, Shabby Bo Chic. I remember, yeah, that was what they called it. And then when they got the building in Gilbert, they called it JB Knacker. So, and then it was her encouragement that did get me to do this because when I would get back, I'd live at Clear Lake all summer, roughing it at the cottage. And then when I got back in the winter, or in the fall, I would work for Brenda. I did that for a couple seasons or whatever.
So you kinda got to know
she really
the
encouraged me, you know,
category.
because I would work with Brenda, or, you know, and I kind of got the feel of it and realized how much I loved it. And she encouraged me. She walked through the building with us when it was it wasn't quite as shambles as yours was at that point because they had started restoration. They did all the demo I have pictures of what it looked like, but I never had to experience that. But Brenda was a big encouragement. And then with their friends, Joe and Sandy, who had Broad Street Market, they also were really encouraging. So, yeah. And then...
Yeah, we just kind of...
we knew we could do it. We knew we had the look or the, you know.
And our two daughters were getting older, and they were graduating, and we had more house than we needed.
Honey, they were out of the house when we did this.
Yeah.
They were out of the house, so we only had Hank in the house
so we
with
didn't
us.
need that big a house anymore, for one thing. And this popped up, and we just kind of said, let's do it.
The only thing is I did own an ice cream truck.
Okay.
So to take this on, I had to sell my ice cream truck.
And what your ice cream truck was that like were you scooping ice cream?
No,
or
it
was it like treats that
a dream job. And the one thing job, if you ever had to think of a job that makes you sad and you'd kind of like to do again, I would do an ice cream truck again. It was all pre-wrapped novelties, the Buster, or no, the...
like dilly
Ice cream
bar kind of
sandwich.
thing. I know what you're talking about.
But like,
yeah.
the ice cream
Bomb
sandwiches,
Pops.
you can get bomb pops, dreamsicles. And I would have to go pick them up at a wholesaler. And we did Blue Bunny in that. And it was an old mail truck, and it was so cute. It was this old mail truck. And then it just had a freezer in back and an inverter. And so I just had to keep, it was easy to license because you just had to make sure your freezer was cold enough. And I had to have a lined trash bag and a no smoking sign. I think that was about what it required. Yeah. And I had it up at Clear Lake,
okay,
where
that was
our cottage was.
Okay.
And I just kept, it was a little cash cow. It was awesome. It broke down all the time. My son-in-law's a mechanic, so he could fix it. But I think he was starting to hate me. It just, so.
I think we were all starting to hate.
It was so fun, and it was wonderful. But I knew I had to sell it, and it ended up going to Omaha. If I were to sell my business now, I would maybe consider doing the ice cream gig again.
Just maybe with a more reliable.
Absolutely. But it has to be charming. It played the music. Oh gosh, it was. Yeah. Oh, there was no air conditioning. I just sweat. We loved it. We did, but it caused some stress too.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, if an ice cream truck breaks down anywhere, the number of people that will run to your assistance, and you just give them free ice cream for helping.
Right.
They needed a jump or the radiator was overheating. There was all sorts of things.
Yeah.
One time I had to climb under it with a hammer, hit the starter. Brian told me, just take this and hit the starter.
It worked.
Oh, that time. But yeah, so and after a while, we'd get it started and he'd be like, whatever you do not turn it off until you get back here. And I could usually stay out 3 hours before the freezer couldn't keep up. So that was a good little gig, but.
So you're a little entrepreneur.
I always had, yes.
So you always, would you characterize yourself as that? Like you always kind of had these little side things. You were.
Oh, absolutely. I love doing the bus thing. I keep thinking, okay, if I sell, I could somehow do the bus thing, yes, I've always kind of been overly confident in those kind of things. So
well, you're open to opportunities, is what it sounds like.
Well, it sounds like you are too.
Yeah, very much. Birds of a feather, as they say.
I was thinking.
Yes, I would. My husband can attest, and it's also a. Right now, I would say I'm in a transition period where I'm letting a few things simmer, and he's like, "Well, what's the idea today?" Essentially, at this stage, and I'm just like, I'm not going to make any decision yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Sometimes things have to fall in place, so you get this. You just know it's right,
And
if you're working at it too hard, or if it just is too much, whatever. I think that's a good hint to step back.
Yeah, you can't.
Somehow things fall into place. I'm
can't force it.
I'm a big believer in that. I've gotten better.
Yeah. And so, Grant, would you say that you are also entrepreneurial spirited, or are you maybe not? Are you the yin to the yang?
Not so much.
Very yin to the yang.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. But it's a good combination.
But you're so creative. I mean, like, you do the repairs for me. You build the barnwood tables that we have. You create a lot of stuff for the shop.
So it's very complimentary.
Yeah.
Right.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just me doing my job and Joan doing the store.
Yeah.
And never do the worlds collide. No, we're pretty
Yeah.
hand in hand.
And if
every
he has
day.
to work the register, he's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's debatable, I think.
I know you husband. One thing I will say, and I think this is so important, and it's something I'm super, super proud of. I try to tell people, those businesses in Jewell, they're all women-owned. No, Rachel's.
I mean, Rachel's half. Right?
Mostly, yeah.
I
mean,
say Rachel was the one who started with the soap.
But she
which-
started, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's incredible. And even when I use Dahlia,
Dahlia,
Dahlia's-
Darling and Co. Yeah.
when I use their buses, that's her bus.
That one is definitely her bus. The
It's-
original party bus, and that you'll have to go back and listen to her episode. She tells the
Yeah.
story. They were on a boat of all things. Maybe you guys have this boat thing in common.
I do, yeah.
They were on a boat, and Zach was like, "I think I'm gonna buy a party bus," and she was like, "I don't think that's a great call for you right now, but okay."
So that I'm really proud of that. That they, these gals, we're not afraid to jump in and do it,
Right,
Because
and-
they're buying buildings,
Yeah.
and they're, I think Christina at FCD Handmade, where her daughter Addie is running the store.
She's
and
hilarious.
She's darling.
She's hilarious.
And,
Great kid.
And Christina's, up at doing farmers markets and that. And another beautiful thing about Jewell, if anyone needs anything, if Addie ever needed anything, we're all over there. We can just take help. And we've helped. Well, you ran Brenda's store one day just for a couple hours because a group was coming in.
Right.
We kind of tell us where the key is and we'll go turn off those lights.
Yeah.
We do help each other. It's
Yeah.
such
It's old
a
small town.
lovely, friendly relationship. And we have on Messenger, we have the businesses and we all talk amongst each other and what we're doing and
coordinate, yep.
We really coordinate so much stuff. And we've come up with some really fun events. Our Channel Your Funnel. We do that Hallmark Christmas type thing. We
did the casserole.
we got to bring that back.
Festival.
Casserole Festival.
Couple
Casserole
times.
Festival. Yeah.
That sounds like the epitome of Midwest.
Yeah.
Well, see, and
Midwest.
I would call it hot dish, but
Yeah,
we
well,
modified it for
you're
casserole.
from Minnesota.
But yeah,
Minnesota, you're
So
wrong
we even
already.
made buttons that said hot dish or casserole, depending on what you knew. And then we made T-shirts that for like 3 years. We did it for like 3 years. So we made T-shirts every year with a different casserole recipe, like tuna noodle casserole or hamburger hot dish, and I can't remember what the other one was.
Yeah, we were looking for a cold weather event just to boost traffic.
Sure.
And get the town involved, and it was
Yeah,
fun. We
yeah.
should do it, bring it back again.
Yeah. And we did kind of a potluck with casseroles and had like a judging on
Like
them.
we had a fun run and everything too.
where they had to eat some tuna noodle casserole partway
During
through
the run,
race.
yeah.
Oh.
So it was pretty cruel.
Oh, yikes! I don't know about that. I don't
And then
think
like we at that point there was an empty building where Juniper and Olive is now, and so we were able to use that space to.
as the headquarters.
Right, and we had like a game night, and we had raffles, and it was just really
Contest
fun.
for the best
Yes.
casserole and all
Yeah.
that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. So-
Okay, so coffee to buying the building. You move into the apartment first, right?
No,
You were originally supposed to move into the apartment
Yes.
first. Okay, but the retail space is ready first.
right.
Okay, so at this point, what are you doing for inventory? Like, did you have inventory built up from Old Lady Stucco? Like, where, you know what I mean?
We
Like,
had a store because Old Lady Stucco. Then I lapsed, like I quit doing it for a while. But then, the home we were selling was far bigger than the apartment we were going into. So it was
your
a
initial
lot of
inventory.
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Some of-
And then knowing you're going into this, we had a storage unit, and we just would buy up, and we started like that.
And you had a
And-
partner that brought in Rachel.
Rachel Faga from Story City was in with me at first. And so she
quite a
had
bit.
just lovely, beautiful things, and she really gave a lot to the store. She did it, she came in knowing she might not like this, because it's weekends and that. But I just love her look and her style, and she's a dear friend. And I said, just come try it. If you don't like it, no feelings hurt, you can get out. And 2-3 years?
Yeah.
Or 15, 16, I think she left. And her husband was starting to travel a lot. She was able to travel with. And so it just was easier for her to step out at that time.
And
But
we own the building, so it wasn't a messy.
There was no, it wasn't a messy switch.
No,
yeah.
we weren't going to do the sharing of things. It's like, I just wanted you in. And, we figured out who got paid what. And,
and so that
it was really a smooth, lovely transition, and I miss her dearly.
Yeah.
But that first opening, like you said, the store was ready before the apartment was. But our annual Fall for Junk tour was happening.
The Central Iowa Junk Jaunt, that's coming up in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yes.
The fall
one
edition
was
of
happening.
2013 was happening, and we wanted to be open
for
by
that.
for that because
Okay.
we knew we could kind of make a little splash and get our name out and get people up to Jewell, hopefully. So that really kind of drove us going into the store before the
we have to be
apartment
open
was
by
ready.
then. So we even said finish the store first.
Okay,
And
just so you
Yep.
could make that date and then
Yes.
kind of get established.
Yes.
And then at that point, did you have like a particular look, a particular style? You know what I mean? Like, was there any? Or was it just
it's
what
my
you?
style?
Yeah.
My look, great style. Well, and I still love the painted furniture, very cottagey, very cottage core. Kind of boho. We know when we like something, and our whole home is like that. And we just sort of, that's where we went.
Yeah, you didn't really make a conscious theme of this is going to be
I just knew if I was going to like that.
a certain look.
Yeah.
It was just a amalgamation of all your style and Rachel.
And
Yeah.
so your initial stuff, like I said, your initial inventory came from your home that you were sort of
lot,
downsizing
yeah.
on. But you mentioned that you had a storage unit that you were compiling stuff. Were you going to auction? Were you picking?
Well,
what were you?
And Rachel had some storage too, but and the storage unit was only because we were also storing stuff for our home.
Yeah, because
For the apartment.
you'd
For
already
the
sold your
apartment
house.
was- right, the house
was
was
sold.
sold. We went, 3 months or something between. Well, auctions. I mean, we did go to some auctions. We thrifted.
Well, and you were
we
doing
did a
the-
lot of our a DIY type projects and things. And
Of what? What were you? You know what I mean? Was there anything in particular you were
Grant
DIYing?
would make these wood planter type things. Rachel and I did. God, you think way back. You could almost just decorate something, which I don't even own a glue gun now. God, I don't like crafting things, but we did do we'd stencil
We did candle
things.
pillars out of barnwood
Rachel
and
was a
stuff like
beautiful
that.
seamstress, so she would make
Textile.
lovely pillows and, just out of vintage
Mm-hmm.
fabrics we found. And, I mean,
We just kind of winged it, and
totally we
Yeah. And so then at that point, do you remember what started selling for you? What got you some momentum? Was it that stop on the Central Iowa Junk Jaunt or
Well, just being on there, but
that was a good
somehow then
kickoff.
our look must have been good because it just says, this was 2016 and we're still at it. And it has evolved, totally evolved from when we started. Right now, my store is just packed, but I'm temporarily helping a friend in housing. I am world headquarters for Urban Heirlooms. April had gotten out of a lease. She used to be in Jewell, and then they sold that building. So she went to Story City, and she got out of that lease and just needed a place to go. And I'm like, you know what? Get in here. I missed her. She's a good look. And her and I looks are very different, but yet they complement each other really nice. So other than my store right now being filled to the brim, because it's April and I in there, we've kind of evolved our look and just, like it's really full right now. It's a boho rustic. Well, she goes to Texas and finds great cowboy boots and hats,
leatherwork,
and just kind of different things than I find, but they really work together.
Yeah. And so, Grant, when did you start like building the tables and doing that kind of stuff? And you mainly do things out of like reclaimed.
It's barnwood.
Yeah, it's all reclaimed barnwood from central Iowa mostly.
Well, I wonder what year your first table was, because
I don't even
he was
remember.
working full. You were still. It was before COVID.
I was still driving back and forth to
From
Des
to
Des
Moines.
Moines.
Yes, and I would schedule the barnwood tables. Man, they were going out hot, and I had it where you made one every 3 weeks. Was like pickup. Plus, he was working full time in Des Moines, and
It was a lot. It was too
then
much.
I'm mad because he can't come. Like we can't do anything because he's building a table.
Well, quit scheduling them then.
So, and he had very kind of basic equipment and tools at the time.
Right.
Now, personally, those are my favorite tables, the really rustic ones. Now he's got a very beautiful workshop. But now we kind of build a table for a customer, and he might build one for the sales floor, but right now there's no room on the sales floor. But
I'm not sure what
But we kind of have slowed it down.
the
We
first
are
one
just,
inspired. Did we just see an old rickety table somewhere?
I
and
think
I'm
you
like,
made one and put it on the floor,
Just
and
like-
then someone liked it,
Well, I can
and
do
they
that.
wanted a. I think that's what happened. Is
We
that
start
you made a
taking
couple
orders.
just on the floor because we said we would never do custom orders.
but that's mostly what we do now.
Pretty much, that's all we do.
Yeah.
And custom orders aren't so bad. We have about one person a year that you think, oh, I wish I hadn't taken this order.
Yeah.
But some people are difficult.
Yes.
But most are just
By and large,
easy
it's
as punch to please. So, and if there's ever a problem, like one top was weird. Like once they got it home or
Had a
something.
board crack.
Yeah. So, you just keep it there. We'll build a new top. We'll come get it and put your new top on. So we can usually accommodate pretty nice. That happened once.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Once or twice.
And so did you grow up like woodworking? I mean, if you grew up on a farm, you kind of grew up doing a little bit of everything.
And my dad was very handy. He had a little wood shop, and
Yeah.
he taught me a lot of stuff. And so I just kind of started doing it.
You kind of
and
have a natural knack.
You
for
learn
it.
a little bit as you go, and
Yeah.
you watch a YouTube video if you don't know how to figure something out, and then you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the convenience of technology today. Your dad didn't have that.
No, but he gave me the basic skill set. And
And the
he was
basics
good.
are probably the most important because then you can figure the rest of it out.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's
Yeah.
a YouTube video.
Yeah,
for
and you
that.
do it 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 pieces, and you learn each time. You make a mistake each time, and you learn not to do that particular mistake. You might do a different mistake next time. But
Well, and the thing
you
is,
learn.
using reclaimed wood, though, too, it's going to be different every time, no matter
Right.
what you do.
Yeah, it's not a
because-
factory
No.
look. It's all one-of-a-kind, unique stuff, which is,
Yeah. And,
That's fun.
it's so funny because people are like, sometimes they'll get some in asking about the barnwood tables. And what kind of wood is it? Like, whatever they harvested off the
Barnwood.
land.
I don't
yeah,
really
hardwood.
Barnwood.
But whatever they put in the barn. And, they were just milling it off their timbers and
Yeah.
that. So it's like, heck if I know. And then, what color is it going to be? Well, wood. I mean, like, we put a clear coat on it, and
Yeah.
I can't guarantee it's going to be lighter, darker. I know, Grant, one time, one board stood out. Remember, we redid a top because, like, one board, for whatever reason, was just white or blonde compared to everything else. So we built the table, and then we rebuilt the top. Yeah, because I was like, that just really stands out.
Yeah.
And we will occasionally stain them for people, but we just like that natural.
The rustic patina, whatever it
Yes,
is
and
whatever
let it
it
be
is.
what it's going to be. And you'll get some that, I have this type of cabinet and I have this type of floor, and it's like,
This might not
Yeah.
be the table for you.
yeah, or is that going to they got gaps and
They're
things.
not
Is
for everybody,
food going to
that's for
get in there? And you're kind of like, maybe you should go to Reddickers.
Yeah. Maybe this is not for you.
Right.
Yeah, you might
And that's fine.
love the idea of a barnwood table, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yes, the practical reality of it is a little bit
But
different.
usually, everyone's been delighted, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said from inception at 2013 to now, your style and the look and the general feel of the store has definitely shifted. Can you walk me through that a little bit? Like, when you first started, was it just kind of like
Dirty, rusty.
dirty, rusty junk?
Chippy
like,
paint, junk, more
Yeah.
real
lot
junk,
of
junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which at the time, like, that was Chip and Joanna come up, like, farmhouse, rustic chic.
And don't get me wrong, I still really enjoy
Yeah.
that. But then, you distressed everything. We would distress everything. I'm very much a cottage type person. We own a second home in Minnesota that's very cottagey. We had a cottage in Clear Lake, and that was a decorating style, very different from our homes. Like our house now, I like painted furniture. I like the pops of color. I like cottage style. So it went from getting really distressed in that though now to being a little more polished and smooth, but still the colorful.
And we've been doing it long enough now that we've seen things kind of come and go and come back. So
Yeah, it is funny. It does cycle.
Well, and so that was going to be my next question. Like, as you're looking at all of this, you've been in business over 10 years now, which is that hard to believe, or does it feel like it?
No, it's for 11 years or
11 years, yeah.
11 years. Will it be 12 then?
Next year?
But no, in October.
No, it'll be 11.
11 in October. Okay, see, I'm not doing the math in my head. All right, but it's, what the funniest thing is, with my daughters owning homes and that now, the things my one daughter likes are like some of the 80s country. I'm thinking, the mauve and the geese. And, but you can't say, ooh, I saw that already. I'm not going to put that in my shop or whatever. Because there is a very young customer coming in and buying those Afghans and those, but like some
I
of the
made one of those for the record, but the other two I thrifted.
I love it. But some of the colors that they want are the dinner plates are things that I had as a young mother or was in my mom's house as a.
I'm also thinking about my goose basket up there hanging above my toilet.
You know what?
You
The
were
goose
like
with
the
the
goose.
ribbon. That kind of stuff. But like ducks and geese. But the white goose with the blue ribbon around their neck.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'll find that in a thrift store and put it in my shop, and it's gone.
Yeah.
You know? And I have to remember, this is like someone, and it's so cute because the young ones will be like, my grandma had that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you can't not have it because you don't like it.
And
you
so-
need
Right.
to cater to.
But I do
Your
like,
audience.
you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's evolving with me too, because when I go to a thrift store, I see a lot of something, and then I think, hey, that's the next, especially if there's a lot of it in the thrift store, it means,
It's a good trend watch.
yeah, like this is going to go back now and we're going to redo it somehow. But you don't even have to change some of that stuff, though.
So now,
I don't know how I do it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it works.
but so now it's kind of evolved to what would you? So it started off as rustic, chippy,
Then
rusty
I got real,
almost.
like almost boho, very boho gypsy-ish for a while. And
We had a little space where nobody wanted painted stuff quite so much.
I still paint because I can't sell the big thing is the raw wood, bleached wood. The time,
So that dresser over there, I just finished that one.
yeah,
We
but
talked
like
about
they
raw
want it
wood,
like
bleach.
raw.
Well, and that
And-
one, yeah.
With no finish. Yeah.
But
Or
either
oil.
if I sanded it, I have to think about the hours I put in. Not that I consider myself like I'm worth $30 an hour, but you got to think of the time you put in. But another method they use to do the raw wood is oven cleaner.
That's what I was just going to tell you. So I did that one with oven cleaner. I have two
I-
nightstands out back with oven cleaner.
I
on
can't
them
do.
right now.
I personally can't do it. I just because you rinse that off, and I
Yeah.
just I feel like it's just this big chemical dump in the grass so I can't do it because I am a little bit, I try to be conscious of, that kind of stuff. So I did it one time in the driveway, turned out great. I felt terrible. I think worms were coming up, like they were getting burnt, and I felt terrible. And I don't do it.
Fair.
And it really made my throat hurt.
Yeah.
I probably should have worn a mask.
You need to be covered. The freaking overspray on it is
so,
nasty.
we just, any of it, if I can find it in a good state.
Well, and
it's
just
a good
looking at
price.
your space, Shelby, it's, there's that eclectic mix of, you got a leather couch and sheds, and you got some crystal, and you got raw wood
It's very much
and
like-
reclaimed wood and
Yes.
beaming and brick.
So clearly you walked into it somewhere and said, oh, I like that. That's a good look. And you don't care
That's just
if
your
it's a
style.
style or mix and match. You
No,
just-
see, I can walk in somewhere and say, like, I can see it, and I can try to explain it to somebody. Like I said, the ceiling. You wouldn't believe the amount of pushback I got from people when I said I was going to do an all-metal ceiling. They're
Yeah.
like, it's going to be too much. I said, I have 12-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
Unless you're looking up, you have no idea.
Yeah,
And then
you
you
don't
look
even
up,
notice it.
and then you look up, and you go, oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, just trust me. Just
Yeah.
trust me. And
Yeah,
that...
so when you go somewhere, it's
I know
gonna
what I
work.
like. Yes, I know what I
so-
like, or I know what I can turn something into, or I can't. That's where, and like my latest obsession, I really wanted a clawfoot coffee table.
Yeah,
Like I just
looks
wanted one,
fabulous.
and so I found a clawfoot dining table, and I cut it down to coffee table height, and I sanded my life away until it was raw wood.
I don't mind sanding, but I feel like
Oh man,
And most of our customers are like this. They're not afraid to mix and match,
Yes.
a high gloss
truly
piece with
right.
something rough.
Our customers get it.
right.
Yeah.
They're coming from all over because they don't want Hobby Lobby stuff, and they don't want
All of one thing.
Right.
they don't want to get all where there's a row of vases made in China, and then they want to
They want
get the
curated.
stuff. Yes,
They
yes,
want
it's
curated. That's
a good word.
That is a good word to describe it. Yes.
Yeah.
Not mass produced. And some of it was mass produced way back when.
Yes.
But, now
But-
we're just saving it from the landfill, guys. And,
It reflects your personality.
and I do carry some new stock on things if I really, really like it.
Like what? Like give me an example.
Sometimes prints, like they're reproductions of paint by number. I carry some snarky napkins, that are just that thing a person can grab. And, they got the swear words and that. And those are good sellers. I carry some journals that are
Some
kind of
textile
snarky,
stuff.
some textiles. Not a lot of other home decor type, but like textiles and that I find charming. I'll carry that type, but not a lot. Just enough to, like you might get that person that's coming to your store and it's really not their look, whatever, and that's okay because any of those other stores on Main Street might be. But it is nice to have something that they chuckle about and be like, oh, for $8 I can
Or, it
take
can be a little
this,
A
or-
gift
Gifting,
for someone.
yes.
Yes. So, because it isn't for everyone. So it's nice to have a little something. If they
keep them
if they
coming
come
back.
in, I'd like to think you could find something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may not. Yes, there may be certain things that you're just like, absolutely not. I could never
Yeah.
see
Right.
that in my space or anything. But there's at least
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
something.
That's
Yes.
the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how many square feet is your store?
Good thing you're here.
Like, is it?
It's big. No, I don't. It's not
Well,
huge.
so for reference, the space that we're sitting in is
Double
about
this?
800 square feet.
Double.
I think we're about 1,000. I think it's 22 wide by 60 deep, I think.
Okay.
So whatever
yeah,
the math
so
is
we're
on
about
that.
25 by 40. Maybe.
Oh, okay, so not double.
So not bigger,
Right.
but not
Yep.
Yeah.
super significantly
Yes.
bigger.
Yes.
And then we do have a basement that we can use as a
Which is a very nice basement.
Workspace.
A lot of my work that I used to do was done in the basement, but when Grant started buying more tools
You got kicked
and
out.
making those, yeah. So like my beautiful wood floor, I paint right upstairs in the shop, and I don't lay a mat down. So it's floors with character now. I mean, they're going to get beat up. I mean, I'll never forget, like, when we first got there, someone who had kind of helped with the restoration, I did not want the shop floors finished, but because we were working with this Main Street group, they had already arranged that, and that's what it was going to be. And I kept saying, I'm not going to, like, put movers on everything, and it's going to get scraped and scratched. And I'll never forget, one of them, I was moving something, and someone who had helped kind of scolded the person helping me. And I thought, like, don't scratch it, la, la, la. And I was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I own this, and it's mine, and it's going to happen. So our floors are very, very, have a nice Pantene.
Aged,
Yeah.
Rustic.
Yeah. Oh, rustic is good. Yeah.
Character. Like you said, character.
That reminds me, today I did feel a soft spot in one part. I need you to look at, Grant.
All right.
Not a very big one, so we're good.
Yeah,
no one's going through the floor.
That's it, yeah. Not yet, anyways.
Yeah.
So when you are painting this furniture, you're brushing it? You're not spraying it? Or
I would love to have a spray booth in that. That would make my life so much easier. But again, well, you do have a spray booth, but it's set up for polyurethaning his tables.
Yeah.
So as much as I'd love to spray them, I do give it a little kind of rustic brush.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long, and then I may or may not coat it with poly. I usually do. And I have a brand of paint I absolutely love now. I mean, that stuff wears and wears and wears.
Which is?
I order it online. Can you remember the name?
Is it Dixie Belle?
No, but it's...
Similar?
Gosh darn
Is it
I don't even
paint?
have my phone where I can look it up. I can see the can. It's in a... Oh, man.
Is it a chalk paint?
It's a mineral paint, but not chalk, yeah. And I really love it, and it's taken me a long time. I used to make my own chalk paint. I used to, I tried all of them. This one I love. It doesn't scratch, and one coat of poly, and it's just sealed nice.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed I can't remember the name. Because I could carry it wholesale, but it's... but I buy it for me to use on the shop. And if someone needs like a touch-up paint, I'll give them what's left of it, and I will sell it. But it's for me to use on my stuff.
Yeah. And so do you have like a particular style of furniture that you like to redo, that you like to paint? Like, is there something, or is it again like something you just see and you're like, I think I need that. I think that.
Something I see.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Right now, I'm kind of liking, as furniture, I always love it when I can find the leather couches and big leather chairs with a little character, not the ovary stuff, but,
I was about to
little
get
kind of
you the one from
masculine.
upstairs.
You
can have the one from upstairs and take
it.
Dang it.
They're comfortable though, but I seem to be able to find couches and chairs and looks I really like with those. That's evolved a bit too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like your dresser is a perfect example of something. That little 4-drawer dresser you have there would be something I would
clean line.
Yeah, clean line.
Meanwhile, I just stripped it down to everything, and I just
I
finished
really
it yesterday.
like it.
Staged it yesterday.
Oh
so,
my goodness, that's so
yes,
funny.
The drawers are
it.
lined in a really colorful wallpaper.
See, I never really do that. I have to find that fine line, how far I'm taking it. And my motto is work smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. So how far do you take it where you've put too much into it?
Yeah.
Because someone might take it home and change all the hardware, or change the paint color. I don't know, but
and part of that too is we try not to price ourselves too high. We would rather move stuff than
because of the size of our
have
space.
it not sell because we put too much.
I know what I need to make on a piece where it makes me happy. And sometimes, in your head, you're like, I know I could get, or I did see on Marketplace, or I did see here or there. Yep. It may or may not have sold yet for those people. you don't know what price they sold it at. I try to sell it so it goes out or price it so it goes out the door. You know, it just, because then I can bring in a new piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And usually people come in from the metro areas or.
They find Jewell so reasonably priced anyhow.
Yeah.
Because our advantage, you know, people are like, why Jewell? You should come to Des Moines. And we actually did think about going to Des Moines because you were working in Des Moines at the time. We looked at space there. We looked in other towns. Overhead. We can be open 2 or 3 days a week, you know, because our home is above us and that's all part of the payment. And we got the business at an extremely affordable rate. And, you know, some places you just see what they want for the rent. And you're like, you don't want to be mean, but I've told people thinking of going other places and I hear what they're going to pay for rent. And I'll be flat out, you're not going to make it.
No.
A couple bad winter days or a bad month of, you know, anything happens. They do road construction out front.
Right.
You're not going to be able to
Your
make that
break
payment.
even is so astronomical
Yes,
that it's
or
not
you got to
even.
price. And sometimes I know they think, well, if I'm in a bigger city, I can price it higher, la, la, la. That is not necessarily true, you
Right.
know? So you really got to be careful because I do know some main streets where they have some really beautiful, beautiful buildings, but they're trying to recoup what they put into it. And the buildings people aren't in them, you know, it just, it's too high and you're trying to help someone start a business.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's why the Main Street program for all these small towns is really great because they're all nonprofits, you know, and
When you're part of Main Street, Iowa, or Main Street,
their goal is to
USA.
save a building, not make $300,000 by fixing it up and selling it.
Right.
You know?
And there,
So-
you know, there are, and the grant programs and everything else to help kind of offset some of those costs so that it can make it more affordable down the road for
Yes.
someone coming in. Yeah, it is. And I say that about this building, you know, had we not gotten the grant money that we did, it would not make sense in any way, shape, or form to do what we did.
Right.
Right.
So
You
that's
know,
really
it didn't,
great.
by no means, it didn't even cover barely even a third
Yeah.
of all of it, but
It was a third.
Yes,
I
Made it
mean,
doable.
exactly. It made it at least feasible in a way for us in our early 30s to be able
Right.
to.
Yeah, because our building, we never could have come
and
close
they
to
worked
Right.
with us.
restoring it.
They worked with us so well in the sense that we were selling our home. We were taking a leap to open a retail space because what they first wanted for it and what we were able to explain and negotiate and was almost half of what they first kind of started out as. But they also needed someone to start. You know, let's get the ball rolling kind of thing. I mean, Jackie and Leo with their cabinetry was the first building, and they have a very successful business. But it wasn't where people walk by and go in.
It didn't require foot
went-
traffic. It wasn't
Right.
more of a showroom
and
situation.
So they really did.
And we were local. That always helps when they know who.
Well, yeah, I think that was big too. They knew us.
Well,
Yeah.
you are by default invested in the community. Because
Absolutely,
you
with
know,
your kids
'cause you
in
are,
town,
Yeah,
yes,
you're
yeah.
part of the community. So
Yes.
you are, you know, by hook or by crook, you are invested.
That does make a huge difference too. And I didn't want to go to a different town. I love our little Main Street. I just and so it was wonderful. It was worth it, every minute of it. Still is.
Yeah, we've been lucky. It's worked.
Yeah. Okay, so your look and everything, the trends obviously have evolved over the time. Has your sourcing of things evolved? Like, are you guys still doing the auction thing together?
That's changed a lot.
Okay, talk to me about that.
I don't even go to auctions. And, everything became online auctions with COVID, and it's still kind of stayed that way now.
And do you like those? Do you not like those?
Well, I don't mind them, but I don't do them as much. We use it as an excuse. If we find an auction in some interesting place, we can make a little trip there then, or
Yeah.
something. So, we got to pick up the stuff on Wednesday,
Yeah, shoot.
So, yeah. I think our biggest thing now is, my primarily thrift stores and marketplace. for a lot of my stuff. Thrift stores, I feel, in this area have gotten so expensive. And they are selling things more expensive than I do. Mm-hmm. And I think, oh my gosh, But because I own a home 2.5 hours in Minnesota also, our vacation home, I have really found like I can thrift, and right in the town that we're at has an incredible one. And when I'm there, I can do a certain radius, and their prices haven't gotten crazy yet, or so it seems. And so I drive down there with the van and can fill up the van and come back, and they also have the best garage sales in the whole world.
Yeah.
So, it's changed a lot.
When we first started, it was a lot of farm auctions, not auction houses, but farm auctions, and you could get
I love
the balls of barbed wire or whatever, the
rusty,
real
dusty, dirty, the chicken boxes.
That was very hot at the moment.
Yeah. So the nesting boxes and things, and crates and
super rustic farmhouse.
Boxes. Yeah.
Now that's not quite as popular, and there aren't as many
at all,
farm auctions either, like there used to be.
But what I always say is crusty, dusty, and whatever. You're scraping raccoon poop off of something, or not.
Well,
and you could get it cheap too.
Yeah.
And I used to have people that came to me, and I would buy their stuff. That works for a bit. And I will do that kind of. But it seemed like after you did it for a while, some of them were starting to ask more money too. So it's like, okay, I can't use you as a source anymore. Mm-hmm. People come in and ask if we want to buy, like, my mother is going to a nursing home, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I don't buy up whole estates. But sometimes I'll have a few things, and I'll say, send me a picture. And they'll send me a picture. And if I don't want it, sometimes I totally get it to look that I know who would like it. Mm-hmm. So I'll pass it along. And so people do come to us too, but mostly we enjoy kind of the little hunt of it.
Yeah, the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah.
The potential
and
treasure.
And we've got this old van, creepy white van, and we just drive that around, and it holds so much that...
That's probably the best investment we've made.
Yes, absolutely. And it just goes and goes. And Cindy at Juniper and Olive, if she's getting a new piece of furniture, she just hops in the van, takes it, and goes. If anyone needs it, Brenda and Neil from JB Nacker or Gin and Tarnish took it up to a show they were doing in the cities. I mean, it's there, it's available, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's been extremely dependable because it probably has 300,000 miles on it.
Technically could be the new ice cream truck.
Bite your tongue.
Just a little creepy. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it just is a little creepy.
Maybe that is not. Too many stereotypes.
I just, we always tease about one time you got to a corner and kids were...
I've had children run away.
Like he's at a corner looking for an address to pick up
creepy old guy in
something,
the
and
van
kids
with
are
no
walking
windows.
home from school.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, that's no exaggeration.
Like, oh God.
Oh man. Okay, so speaking of shows, though, did you guys ever do that, like the show circuit? I mean, you did.
We thought we were.
Okay.
We thought we would do it,
but
and I helped Brenda with them from Gin and Tarnish, JB Nacker. And I enjoyed helping in that. But I always can talk myself out of it. I have a brick and mortar. I put everything into that. I am not packing this stuff up and hauling it somewhere for it to potentially sell. While my store is now kind of either no one can run it or it's sitting empty or looks like heck because I took everything. I just can't bring myself to do it. And I enjoy shows. I can't go there to buy usually, but if we can get a way to go to them, they're fun to see. So many are outdoors and the weather.
Yeah, you're at the mercy.
And it's an expense. It's a huge expense.
Massive.
Sometimes. The good ones indoors, So I just can't
it's a
bring
lot of work.
myself.
They can be a good payday, but it's a lot of work, and like you said, don't know. It's not a guarantee.
I have a brick and mortar, and come see me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. And so, do you have employees in the shop, or is it just you two that run it generally?
Us two. My daughter I have a daughter that lives in town, and she'll work it. I have a couple dear friends that if I need them to, they will do a weekend. But, we're open. All the shops are open like Saturday and Sunday. Some are open Friday. I do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the exception right now of this street construction. Right now, I'm Saturdays and Sundays until, they get this. We're back to normal.
But we don't have any regular
No,
payroll or anything.
So
for it.
April, who has Urban Heirlooms, she'll work weekends, and we just get along so well, and it's just an easy fit. But no employees on payroll.
Gotcha. Well, it's a gift and a curse. It's good and bad.
But again,
Right.
I'm only open 3 days a
Yeah.
week, so yes, it's always weekends. We've made it work for 11, or going on 11 years. So
Yeah. And so when did you get the idea to start doing the bus trips? The Dahlia, did you see the bus first?
Saw
And you're
the
like,
bus.
okay, and you're like, how can we use
totally
that? I
it,
love that
yeah.
thing.
So I did the math.
You
of,
have
if
to
I
listen
have
to
it-
that episode because
I
she
will,
talks about the
absolutely.
story of finding the bus. It is, you have to like.
Because it was kind of a wreck too, wasn't it, when they bought it?
Well, she found it on Facebook, and
Oh,
But they did
she
do some
Venmoed a
restoration.
guy in California the money before she'd seen it. And it is quite a story.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that it's turned out beautiful. I love what she's building. I love the vision. I
I
love
do
it.
too. So I saw that, and I was trying to think of a way to bring people into town.
Where did you see it? I don't remember.
So they, as a group, when she was kind of starting, they came to Jewell, not a bus
forgotten
full,
that.
but she was in this bus with a bunch of them, and they went to Juniper and Olive and had drinks and stuff. And I didn't see it that day, but April
that
sent
was
me
in
pictures.
It was in December. 'Cause
Okay,
it
were
was
you
a
on the bus?
No, I was
Oh.
I was supposed to go because it was a group of there's a whole bunch of us women business owners in Central Iowa.
That's what it was.
Yes, and it was in December, but that was a really hard time of year for us at that
Yes.
point. And so, yes, so I was supposed
I
to be
wasn't
on
at
that
the
bus.
shop, but April sent me photos. And, in the back of my head, I thought, oh, that'd be cool. But it wasn't until we started this street construction that I was like, I have to figure out ways, and we're all going to benefit. I was talking with the whole group of shop owners, and I would charge enough to cover the expense. I mean, because we did have to cancel one bus here because I wasn't getting it filled, and I need to cover the expense of it. But when I can get 25 women to come to Jewell and spend 2.5, 3 hours, it benefits all of our shops.
Right.
So that I just decided that's what I would do and also the thrifting trip. I don't know how I got on that. I just thought since we had the bus, maybe I'd take people thrifting and stuff. And that was just a ball. I've done 2 of those, and I have another one coming up in
August, I think.
August. I think maybe July. I don't have my phone. I can't look. But they can look at my Facebook or Instagram. It'll be on there.
Yeah.
And those fill really fast, the thrifting buses. And it's just a fun group. And then this energy, once we got to talking back and forth, and her husband is so sweet when he drives it. Funny story, one time, the Sunday Fun Day bus, I was picking people up at TikTok, and I get a call, the bus broke down. But he had a backup. So he comes with one of the party buses.
Yeah, one of the black party buses.
Yeah, it's all right. They filled it in. We just had to have a cocktail or 2 more at the tip top waiting for the. I said, it's no problem. No one's mad. We'll just keep partying. And,
Yeah.
So it really works out. I don't know. It's just a really fun fit. Mm-hmm. And I mean, people who wave when that bus goes by, or it's parked on the street, and people who come up, and I hope it works for them too to get, some information. Now I've had people go, Joan, I love your bus. It's like, oh, it's not my bus. Or people go, you should buy a bus. It's like, no. Ice cream truck, yes. Bus, no. But maybe a short bus.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, she does have a second bus. She bought a second crown. It's sitting. It needs to be redone and everything.
Oh,
but
honey,
Yeah.
and I need to collaborate more.
Already
But I think we do a really
purchased.
good job collaborating. So
yeah, I think
Yes.
that's a good fit. It
Yeah.
seems like to
it
me.
is. It is. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you're benefiting everybody on Main Street. You're bringing up 25 people that probably wouldn't have made the trip. You know, they maybe would.
Some
by
of them have
themselves.
been there and that, but it always brings new ones.
Right.
Okay, so the one bus out of Alluvial, this last one, it was a group from past Fort Dodge.
Manson, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and you're like, wow. And so they went clear to Alluvial, and then, you know, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and if I could find a charming bus company in some of these other surrounding communities, you know, where I could do a jumping off point differently. But for now, I'm just keeping it kind of a tight circle around us to get us to Jewell. But for thrifting, I guess, if I could find a bus company, but I want it charming, like, and so
Yeah, you want a particular look, particular feel,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
vibe kind of thing. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I mean, that bus
it's perfect.
really matches like my boat that I have. It's a 1958 from Denmark. You know, so I got this feel, this look I like. You know,
Yeah.
I get it. So,
Like you said, when you see it, you know,
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a thing.
And that bus is that. So
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yep.
So funny. But yeah, small world. Like I said, that was how we initially got connected because I saw your stuff on Logan's stuff and I was like, oh, I want to talk to her.
there you go. All right.
Yeah, so it all makes sense now.
It
Yep.
sure does.
Yes. Okay, so as you like look forward, you know, in the next 12 months or so, is there anything that you guys are like particularly excited about that you have coming up? Like, is there an event or
Well,
even if it's
we
like
always have
life?
events, and we've got those two junk shop things. So that is really exciting as shop owners. Us personally, do you know what I'm going to say?
I think so. But
About looking forward, we are possibly going to make a change of some sort. And that would bring someone new into my shop and into our apartment. And I don't know where that would leave you and I, but that leaves us wide open for
Possibility.
we'll have some more coffee. And
we
figure
do
it out.
have a really great person that we're working with that will probably be the next shop owner, and they'll be a great fit if I don't get cold feet. But for right now, that's our plan. But I'm kind of excited about what we can do for the community. Well, you know, like the bus or the I don't know. So we'll figure it out. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I'm ready
that's
to-
okay.
You know, I was thinking.
We don't have any coffee,
Right.
but I mean, we can
Yeah.
make that happen.
Yeah.
Get a little caffeine to
Yeah.
bring the rest of that out.
So we don't know what the next 12 months. There's a lot of ideas out there, and I'm excited for them.
Well,
And
there's a
it'll
lot of
only be a good, positive thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of stuff on Jewell Main Street that's in the works too that we're kind of trying to promote and hope come to pass. You know, getting other businesses in there.
Yeah. There's right now one of the biggest dilemmas. There's no buildings.
Yeah.
There are those tiny little cottages at the vendor
Yeah, but
village.
those are just not. I mean,
Well,
they're,
you
for
know,
a particular thing, they work great.
They're
Yeah.
great. Like Christina did start
Yep,
in those,
and
and you know,
yes.
so that was the goal. If you could kind of get a taste for what.
It's a test.
And it really is a good test because my daughter actually was in it with Fairy and Frog, and had children's toys and that, and it was super successful. But with 3 children and every weekend, she realized she can't do that schedule. So, but that's what it's for, to see before you take this big.
It's an incubator space.
But
yeah.
a little incubator, but they're tiny. But I said, gosh, if we could get someone who does cookies and muffins, and you know, like a little, there's things that can go in there. So there are some available, and it's a good concept. They are tiny, but that's what the budget could afford. But Vendor Village is a clever little idea. Another thing Jewell did that's pretty cool.
Well, and I think that's the thing that Jewell has figured out that I think a lot of little towns need to is how do you make it a destination? You know, how do you make it so that you can take a bus full of people
Well,
for a couple hours.
I do feel, and we've used this word a bunch, is that collaborate word. We have built friendships, and we work together, and we support each other, and we send people. And, I've been in I know people in other little communities, they wouldn't, if someone walked out the door, they wouldn't say, well, thank you, go check out, or they're angry if someone else has vintage too.
Right.
Or, if there's a restaurant, they're mad there's another restaurant. You cannot do that. You support each other. You figure it out. And you know what? If your business isn't doing so well, you need to figure out why.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And
It's
solve
not
it for
anybody
yourself.
else's fault.
And you can't talk bad. You can't. Be excited. Be excited about what you have. And if you can get more in there, great. And work together, because
Everyone benefits.
Everyone does benefit, absolutely.
Well, and
Yep.
there's more than enough to go around.
Oh my
it's not,
goodness!
it's,
Yes, in this, especially in this particular society of the the way we live. Yes, there's plenty.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say I always say that to my husband on the landscaping thing of relax, if they choose somebody, there's more work than any of us can get done in a
Well,
season.
that's just it. So it really is true. Yes.
So
There's always a job out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's also easy for me to say that in a very rational, calm manner, and harder in practice.
Yeah.
For
Yes,
everyone,
yeah.
when emotions
But
and all
I feel
that
like,
are involved.
well, and we've gotten older and more mature, we were all about, making the money. And so you were doing those tables and you were tired. And we did, did a step back. Okay, we still want to be able to go to our other home, or we still want to do this and that. How much money do we need? Is it about making as much money as you can, or is it about making enough to be able to do these things? And it has really provided us a nice, just a nice extra to do a few extra things. We've
Without
calmed
working
it down
constantly.
without it stressing us out. Smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it. Well, cool. So if people want to learn more about Gravy Home Goods, about your custom barnwood tables, where should I send them?
Social. It's Instagram or Facebook's the best way.
Is it Gravy Home Goods on
Gravy
both
Home
of those?
Goods,
Yeah,
and if they
just
just
search for
search
that.
it, that's what you're gonna get. Yeah.
Okay. And you guys don't have a website, do you?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we don't
not
have
on
a website.
TikTok?
No, we're not on TikTok. You're too old for TikTok.
I can't keep up with it now.
With Facebook and
and the barnwood tables, I think we have a bunch of pictures and stuff, and just.
Yeah.
If you look at it, I share a lot of my personal stories too with the cottage and that on it, because it is my customers are also my friends, and we, we've become friends, or I feel like I know them. So a lot of it's some personal what we do, what things we do, but it's also our look and what we have and our cats.
Well, ultimately, people buy from people. So,
That's right. That's really
it's
cool.
just-
Yep.
It's, I never, when people are like, well, I can't, it's just got to be all about my brand and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you are your brand,
Right.
and people care. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
So, anyways, well, awesome. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you want to leave people with?
Oh, geez.
We've covered
Come
a lot.
to Jewell. Don't let
Yeah.
the Main Street construction keep you down. We'll get you to the store.
There you go. And you're open Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Not Fridays
Oh,
right
no.
now.
Okay.
Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay, from 10 or?
10 to 3, sometimes 4, if there's a lot going on.
Sure.
On Saturday, and then on Sunday, 12 to 3 or 4, depending on the traffic during this construction.
Yeah,
So-
okay. And then what are the dates on the Central Iowa Junk Jaunt?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yes, the last weekend in June.
Okay.
The full weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you go to centraliowajunkjaunt.com,
There's a website.
there is a website.
Social
there's
pages.
Social page, and you can print out a map. And how many stops do we have?
22. this
Plus,
time.
a lot of those 22 have additional vendors.
Right.
So it is really a fun. I love them. And then the fall one is going to be the last week in September.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And thankfully, so your episode is going to come out the week that Central Iowa Junk Jaunt is. So
perfect.
this is
Well,
perfect timing.
we would really love to see
great.
people.
Yeah.
And if you, please say something if you heard us on the podcast.
Yeah.
That would be fun to.
Super
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to sit down and have a conversation.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for showing us your home.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.